February is over, and after a pretty great January, I think it's safe to say that February keeps the momentum going with some more great platformers. There's also some stuff for fans of classics, and there's some news on upcoming games. So let's start off with the releases. So on February 12th, we saw the release of Little Gator Game in the Dark, which is an expansion pack to the original Little Gator game, which doubles the size of the game. And according to the reviews, it seems to be as good as the original game. It has a rating of very positive on Steam with a total of 144 reviews as of this recording, with people mentioning that it's, well, not necessarily something amazingly new. It's still as good as the original, though there are some minor complaints with, let's say, the music or finding your way around. But other than that, people say that if you love the original, this one's an easy recommendation. If you haven't played the game before, the good thing is Platonic Friends and Megawob will have you covered because they have Little Gator Game Gator of the Year Edition, which is both the original game and the expansion pack bundled into one. So if you want to try out a character-focused, exploration-focused, and relatively low-stakes game, then this game's probably for you. I haven't tried the expansion out yet, but the base game is really good, so it's a recommend for me. The very next day, on the 13th, we have something that was just a little rumor last month, the Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition, which is a re-release from Ubisoft and Digital Eclipse with 5 versions of the game, 120 extra levels, and a bunch of commentary stuff. It also includes the SNES prototype, which is actually the first legal way to play that. So obviously one of the big complaints with the original game is how difficult it was, so they added a bunch of things like infinite lives, infinite HP, a rewind feature. So if it was too hard for you back then, this is probably going to make it a lot easier for you. Unfortunately though, this is not all good news because there's one big asterisk on this, and it's that the music has been completely reworked. So as far as I know, it's been reworked by one of the composers on Rayman Legends, and though that game has fantastic music, people are not big on the music here. So if you were a fan of the original music, you're probably not going to love this, and there is no way to listen to the original music. So despite Ubisoft saying it's the definitive version of the game, it might not be that because of the lack of the original soundtrack. So do with that what you will. The game has a rating of mixed, with 315 reviews on Steam as of the time of this recording, so it's not looking great for him. Though there are rumors of there being a remake of one of the 3D games, so don't lose all your hope yet. But the next week on February 19th, we had the game that I was looking forward to the most, and that is Demon Tides. This is a sequel to Demon Turf from developers for Braz, who wowed me so much with their first 3D platformer that I was on board for whatever they had next. There was a part of me that was a bit scared that this wouldn't live up to the hype, but it lived up and exceeded the hype. The game has a rating of very positive with 257 reviews on Steam right now, and I actually have my first video review up of this game, so if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts, please check out that video. But yeah, people are calling it Wind Waker meets Mario, with everyone praising the expressive platforming, the massive open world, and the customization. The game has a demo out, so if you'd like to give it a shot, I'd recommend you do so. That very same day though, on the 19th of February, another platformer made its release. It's called, I'm gonna say, Manairones. And this one is a more linear 3D platformer, and it looks a bit like Little Nightmares inspired. And it is actually, I think, inspired by Catalonian folklore, which is really cool, and that's not something you see often in general. The game is rated positive on Steam with 36 reviews as of the time of this recording. People are praising its unique setting, its visuals, and also like the puzzles and platforming, though there are some tiny issues here and there. I haven't played this one yet, but I will always recommend looking into these games made by smaller teams that cover things you don't really see that often. So I'm going to give this a shot soon, and I might talk about it. So that's all for new releases, and I think you'll agree with me that it's been a pretty good month. Let's talk about some classics. We start off with some really weird but really cool news. And as usual, this will mostly be from fans. So this first one is a mod that turns Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy into Half-Life. This sounds like it makes no sense, but if you look at the video, it actually makes so much sense. I haven't tried this out yet, but it looks really cool, and I think you can play the entire game in this mode. So if you're looking for a new way to play Jak and Daxter, seems like there's no better time than now. Give this one a shot and let me know what you think of it. The funny thing is, Jak and Daxter is not the only series by Naughty Dog to be combined with one of the greatest games of all time. Crash Bandicoot has also been combined with one of those games in Flappy-Coot, which is a Flappy Bird Crash Bandicoot fan game. And I know this sounds stupid, but the game actually looks really good, weirdly enough. I haven't given this a shot, but I'm gonna give it a try directly after this video. And I suggest you do that too, because where do people come up with these ideas? This next one is totally different, but also still really impressive. This is SpongeBob SquarePants The Twilight Fair, which is essentially a full game mod, basically an entirely new game, but as a mod for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. So this mod features an entire original hub world, which is similar to Battle for Bikini Bottom. And from what I can see of the trailer, this actually looks like something like a lost release from the PlayStation 2 generation. So if you're a SpongeBob fan and you feel like the games you're getting recently haven't been enough for you, which by the way, that's insane, you've been getting so many games. But if you want more, give this a shot because it looks like it took a lot of work and I think the team would appreciate any support they get. That is pretty much all for classics, and like I said, it's all fans and these guys are doing an amazing job of making sure these series don't die. And I hope we continue seeing this because I don't think these big corporations are going to be doing anything with these series. So yeah, there's been a few new game announcements and they look pretty great. So the first one is Bobo and the Chest of Nightmares. So this one is a more spooky themed one, which I'm always a fan of because there's not enough of that. You play as Bobo and you fend off evil spirits to defeat the Dream Master. You know, this all doesn't sound too original, but the whole spooky aspect, like I said, is not too explored in the genre. I can't think of too many games. Yes, there's a few, but not enough. So this will be a great Halloween game, I think. It comes out October 2026, which is again perfect timing. And I'll probably talk more about it then. So look forward to that. Next one is Kami Quest, which was just actually announced just a few days ago. So this one is actually a Kickstarter campaign. It's going to launch March 3rd, which is probably this week if you're watching this video when it's coming out. The game is going for the PS1 era CG art style, which I've only seen one other game do, and that other game is called Eternity Egg. This game, however, is called Kami Quest, and it looks so interesting. Not just in terms of visuals, but the actual gameplay looks really smooth. And the world seems really surreal and weird, which I love. I want to see more of that. I'm probably going to talk about this next month as well, if it reaches its goal, which I really hope it does. So yeah, I know I said a couple, but those are the only two I could find. I'm sure there's a bunch more announcements that I haven't seen, so let me know in the comments if there's anything that I missed. So on to updates on existing games. So one of the games that I actually talked about for the first time last month was called Jigrift, which is this really cool jigsaw puzzle focused 3D platformer with a frog as a main character. And, you know, I talked about it last month. You can Google it if you want a bit more information. The reason I'm talking about it right now is because the developer MT Castle Games has found a publisher in Whitethorn Games. So again, I know this publisher talk isn't really, exciting, but it does mean the game is going to get more support, which means you might be able to play it in your own native language or on a console of your choosing, or even play it earlier than expected. So this is really good news, and I'm really excited for this game. The second piece of news is not really news, but something I found really cool, and that is that the developer of Big Hops, which is a game I really enjoyed last month, actually released a 43-minute documentary that goes over the 6-year journey from the game's conception to its final release. So I love this type of stuff. I love behind-the-scenes stuff. That's why I do my Dev Chat series. So if you like Big Hops and would like to know more about it, give this video a look. Up next, we have some more immediately exciting news with the release date of Gecko Gods being announced. Now, if you don't remember, this is the game where you play as a gecko and you can kind of scale walls and everything. It looks really interesting. It reminds me a bit of Snake Pass with the way the gecko kind of slithers around, though of course the gameplay is quite different. So the game's release date is April 16th, so you're not going to have to wait too long. For people who have a Switch 2 and would like more platformers on that, Super Meat Boy 3D is coming to Switch 2. Though yes, there's a lot of blood and everything, and it's not very Nintendo-like. I had a great time with the demo, and I think it's going to be a great Switch game because it's a really good pick-up-and-play game. This one is kind of a weird insert here. I just don't know where to keep it in the video. But Steam Next Fest is this week, and there's a bunch of 3D platformers. There's some really good ones that I've never heard about. I'm probably going to make a video about those. You can see some of the clips here. But yeah, keep an eye out for that if you'd like to hear more about these platformers. Let's talk about March games. So first up, we have Pumuckl and the Crown of the Pirate King. This comes from a developer called Quantum Frog and is actually published by THQ Nordic. It, I think, is based on some sort of German folklore or some German story. It looks honestly like a licensed game from the 2000s. If you're into that, give this game a shot. Don't really have much to say, but you know, there it is. For me, the main event of March is Mr. Sleepy Man. So January was Big Hops, February was Demon Tides, and March is Mr. Sleepy Man, which comes out on Mario Day. That's right, March 10th, so just over a week from now. So this game has been in development for quite a while, and it has a really wacky, weird sense of humor. Think something like Adult Swim. The gameplay is also pretty good. There's actually a demo out if you'd like to give this a shot and want to make sure if the humor is up to your liking. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Like visually, it looks like an Adult Swim cartoon, which is, I guess, the point. I might end up talking about this game, I'm not really sure, but I might make a video about this game, so maybe keep an eye out for that. Let's see. The final game of the month is called Ashguard Infinity Mask. So this one doesn't have too much of an emphasis on platforming. Think something like Ratchet & Clank, but more melee focused. This is supposed to be coming out on the 27th of March. I can't really give the demo a shot, it just doesn't run very well on my computer, but it looks really good, so I trust that it's probably really good. It's a post-apocalyptic world inspired by Norse mythology, which is a really interesting concept. Looks like a pretty good way to cap out the month. But that's pretty much it. February was a really good month. It looks like I said, the momentum's going to keep going, and 2026 looks to be one of the better years for the genre in a really long time. So yeah, I'm actually really happy about that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I try to keep these videos under 10 minutes, but you know, I talk a lot and there's a lot of news to cover, so yeah. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next month in March. Goodbye.